Welcome to Talent Talks. I'm Lara, your host for today. I'm the CEO of More Staffing and also an executive coach.
And I'm Aycee, your co-host. I'm the CEO of Behind the Scenes Studio, and like Lara, I'm also an ICF certified professional coach.
And today we're talking about something that has transformed the way we lead at More Staffing and DTS Studio, which is coaching. You've probably heard the term thrown around a lot, but what does coaching really mean in the workplace? And more importantly, does it make business sense, especially for virtual tools that we have right now?
Yes, because so what's interesting is that with coaching, usually they say it's only for executives. These are just for soft skills. But what's interesting is that if it's done right, you get really good ROI, you get good business performance, you could get decision making, quality of work, and even bottom line results. So it's really, really amazing to have this as part of the culture of the company.
Yeah, and then again, this topic is very close to our hearts, being a coach ourselves, and at the same time, long time coaches ourselves as well. So, we hope that we can really support you in answering if this is something that you can do for your business. Can this help? What are the resources? What's the budget? I hope that we can help you answer those questions. And before we dive into coaching in the workplace, let's talk a little bit about our own experiences. Both AC and I again are executive coaches, and we actually started as professionals who hired coaches before.
So I think when Lara said professionals who did hire coaches, I think for me, my parents hired a coach for me as early as the age of 20 because they really realized that there needs an intervention already for me to be supported as I go on to my career, entering my career after college. So what's interesting in there is that they know that a coach can support me because I might retaliate with my parents, but having a third party entering the equation allowed me to really see, okay, this is what I'm going to do when I grow up. This is what I'm going to do after college. And then that coach really helped me. And then, funny story at the age of 26, when I'm looking for love, I also hired a love coach, a relationship coach, And that's why I have my husband now because I had trust issues. And not only did I see the reflection of myself from my coach, but at the same, because of the things that she was coaching me about, I really also realized that if this works with my relationship, then why can it not work with my professional? And that's why at 27, even though people would say, okay, you just can have a leadership coach to start, because I have seen my bosses having executive coaches. Then I hired an executive coach because I know eventually I'm going to be an executive. So since the very beginning, I really believe in the value of coaching. And even right now, I have two coaches, Coach Amy and Coach Antoine. And I don't think I can be where I am right now if not for having a coach like that.
And thank you for sharing that, AC, because my answer to my coaching experience came from seeing you have coaches. Like the first time that I heard AC having a coaching session via Zoom is when we were still working together for a US company, and I heard some of those answers that she has. But I'm actually very shocked that like there's a coaching session like that because with at that time what I know of coaches are like sports coaches, workout coaches, because that's what I know about coaches. So I didn't realize that executive coaching. I know AC has been high performing ever since, but I didn't know that coaching has been a huge part of it. And now that I just knew that you were being coached from age 20. So that makes a lot of sense to me now. And yeah, from there, I think it's also the reason why I followed your steps, easy, when you started coaching to be a coach, and that's definitely the reason why I did it the same training, and actually more than the ROI of being a coach myself and earning from it. the best ROI that I've done, that I've received from that training is the self improvement and development that I actually experienced myself. So that's super super helpful for me. And now as a business owners leading virtual teams, I think I always say this under more staffing, one of our value proposition is that we since we value the coaching and we know how important that is, we include that in our service. And we've seen firsthand how it can completely transform team culture and boost performance and even help retain top talent because we have a 12 months guarantee with our clients. And of course, we don't want to replace. We want to ensure that we're supporting them holistically with coaching and other support so that we can help them reach the longer relationship with our clients. But the big question remains that it actually make a business sense. Of course, there's a investment for this, and how can companies integrate coaching into our remote work environment?
Yes, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. It's just like we'll talk about what makes coaching different from traditional training, the ROI of coaching, and practical ways for leaders to integrate coaching in their culture and into their workplace.
Yeah, so let's dive in and ask some questions that we can unpack for our clients or for our listeners easy. For the first question, why should business owners and leaders consider coaching? Of course. What are the biggest misconceptions about coaching?
So, what's super interesting is that with coaching, is just misconceptions are just like you mentioned earlier. We people mostly just know about coaches like sports coaches, it's just like because that's what they're known for, and somebody really rallying for you and telling you what needs to be done. But what's interesting with executive coaching or leadership coaching is that the coaches are asking questions so that the leaders and individuals learn from the questions and then they come up with the answers. Because what we are also seeing is the importance of instead of giving you fish, teaching you how to feed, how to fish rather. So, point of the matter there would be with coaching, sometimes it's just like it's only for executives, it's only for high performing individuals, or it's only for select few. And truth be told, it can be pricey for having a coach, but it's actually open to many. It can be open to many. There's many types of coaches, and it's not only for soft skills. You can go for accountability. You can go for it's like there are different facets of coaching. And I think more than anything, that's really important for leaders to know that considering coaching in their workforce allows the leader to grow from within, to learn from their own questions and sometimes mistakes, but truly to integrate their learning capability with a growth mindset because somebody is leading the way and enabling them to see a variety of options, point of views, and the likes. But how about you, Lara? What do you think? It's just like, especially with more staffings, like you have seen people coach hundreds of talents being coached. And what's the impact of that to your clients?
Yeah, actually, connecting to what you've said, one misconception is just for executive. This is definitely what we're trying to do with more staffing is to spread the awareness that it's not just for executives and leaders and for the chosen few. Even an executive assistant, a bookkeeper, an accountant, supply chain experts, anyone can benefit from coaching because it's actually we are actually helping them process their thoughts. It's helping those talents understand why are they coming from this side of thought processing. Like it's helping them understand why they do things that the way they do it. And at the same time, we always we experience this most of the time that we just need to blurt it out to have an understanding of what's really inside our mind, and that coaching is it's very helpful to that, because what I saw with the hundreds of talents that we've coached in more staffing, it's sometimes as you've mentioned, not just soft skills, but a lot of it is like understanding how to communicate or be proactive, better transparency with their clients. So in that coaching session with those discussions, the talent has now next steps and like clear next steps on how to deal with a challenging supervisor, for example, or challenging owner, or if it's not challenging owner, how to better the relationship that you have with them so that you can reach your goals. Because definitely in coaching, your goals should be discussed before anything else, and that's really important. Like my goal for the day is to improve my communication because I feel like I cannot articulate what I have in mind, and this is a true story. I cannot articulate what I have in mind, and that's why with my man with the owner I cannot express myself. So there are like next steps, clear next steps on how to improve that. And so again, it's a coaching for the talent, but at the end, the result, the positive result is gained not just by the talent but the client themselves.
Makes sense, makes sense. And along the lines of misconceptions, it's like sometimes people think about coaching is actually a training, but no, not really. It's just like when you're training, there is a set curriculum or something that you follow. You go from phase one to phase two to phase three. And sometimes with corporate trainings, you sit down, you're an audience, and then the trainer is the one telling you what needs to be done and the likes. But as a coach as a coach and a coachee, the difference in the coaching is that the coachee speaks 75% of the time, and then the coach is usually 20 to 25% asking questions, repeating back what was shared. This is how I hear you. Is this what you're trying to share or trying to say? If I'm hearing you correctly, is this what you meant? And sometimes, even with those questions in itself, the person saying it, the coachee saying it and hearing it back in itself is a really good learning experience, because again, the answer was not provided for them, but the answer is provided from within. And that's where behavioral changes really happen, because I forgot which book that I was reading, but people don't necessarily want to be changed. But if the change comes from themselves, they'll be very willing to do the next steps. So yeah.
That self-reflection is the key takeaway for me, AC. It's when you reflected and when you understood yourself better because of those questions asked by your coach, that's where you get gold answers or realizations. And then that you you don't have to hear the answers from your coach. You can think of, or you can come up with those answers yourselves. And that's the gold in coaching. And that's why when we were in training as a coach, our training is to how to ask beautiful, crisp, one-liner questions that will evoke awareness. Yes. And connected to our next question actually is how coaching transform leadership styles, making leaders more effective in guiding remote teams. That I would love to answer here, based on what I've experienced in more staffing, is that we've seen a lot of shift in leadership styles from directing to empowering. So especially crucial when guiding remote teams. It's again, it's a lot more complicated and challenging if all talents are coming from are from different time zones, and there could be like misinterpretations and miscommunications in chats and others, so in emails. So that so coaching for me has helped our talents and clients build trust and autonomy. And the coaching encourages, like, for example, the leaders that we hire or the talents that we hire to ask more and then again tell less. And then we have seen a lot of improvement in communication. Like transparency and alignment of expectations are the two results that we've seen improve. Like they can communicate respectfully, they can decline respectfully, they can share their thoughts even to the owner of the company without being disrespectful. The way that I saw that improvement in coaching. And then one more for me is it's strengthen emotional intelligence. As you have the coaching mindset, it promotes empathy, curiosity, and presence. So even if the talent is being coached and the owner is not, or the client is not, when you get when you get to know someone being coached, it's like a positive energy being transferred to you, and it has a good impact again to the clients and not just for the talent.
Makes
And then one more thing is encourages continuous growth. In this setup that we have right now, um, corporate ladder versus remote work. In corporate ladder, you know that from being first level, entry level, supervisor, manager one, two, three, VP one, two, three, and so it's a huge ladder for us to climb. In the remote setup, it's actually very new. Like both of us had an experience doing remote work even before pandemic, but those who shifted careers during the pandemic, they are unaware. How can this support me? How can this work support me with my professional growth? And so the help of coaching there is really huge because it will discuss and it will be discussed how what goals you wanted to achieve in this remote setup and how do you want to achieve them. Of course, it's working together with your client, of course, and then continuously improving. And then lastly, for me, it fosters accountability without control. So it's again similar to what you've mentioned earlier. Remote work needs trust and clarity. So coaching helps talents co-create goals and outcomes with their teams, with their clients, with their other team members, making accountability a shared agreement rather than a top-down demand. In short, coaching doesn't just make leaders better, it makes remote teams stronger, more resilient, and more self-sufficient.
Yeah. In other words to say that, it's really engagement, retention, and productivity. It's just like it does not need to be just from the top. It can be also from the bottom, and it can be bottom up. So I think yes, it's just like it's very strategic when you invest in coaching because as Lara mentioned, it's like there are many reasons and benefits as to why coaching is important within one's workplace.
AC, earlier we've shared some differences between coaching, mentoring, training, but I would love to deep dive on that. How else can you differentiate traditional training programs with training so that our listeners can understand what to get? Like probably they needed a technical training, not a coaching yet. So how do you want to differentiate that for better understanding?
I think for me, that's a good question. Training is transferring the knowledge from the trainer to the trainee. It's the transfer of knowledge from one person to the next.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
for coaching, you trust that your coachee knows the answer. It's a matter of bringing out the answer from them. So you're not teaching, you're not training, nor mentoring. You're not doing those because you trust that the coachee will have the answer.
Got it. And I think at least the technical part of it for coaching, it's usually there are also group coaching, but
Yeah.
when it's an individual coaching, it focuses on person's goals, challenge, and mindset. And then again, the coaching will have to get the answers from within by asking the questions from the coach. While the training program are usually standardized with the same content delivered to everyone, regardless of where they are in their journey. So I think that's one of the main difference that I can share.
Definitely. Yes, yeah, it's standardized. it's scalable. It's like it's something that you can rinse and repeat. You can do multiple trainings in a day, but it's just like with coaching, it's really getting the answers from within.
Yes, and probably the next question that our listeners would have is that when do you need training and when do you need coaching? Since training is a passed on like answer, like training and mentoring could be the same. We're already the expert in that subject or in that task, and we are hoping to teach that lesson or that task to the talent. And that's most of the time technical skills like how to I need to learn how to do new inventory system or how to create um like an SOP. Those kinds of requirements from the talent usually could be taught on the what and the hows. While for coaching, I usually ask if you might need coaching if you struggle with the mindset, confidence, and consistency. Like, you could be focused on different soft skills, or it's definitely also a relational aspect wherein it's difficult to relate or to communicate with your peers or with your owner. So definitely both can help, and you have to understand that sometimes you need one over the other and sometimes you need both.
Yeah.
And yeah.
There. Just to add there, with training, because it's really knowledge improvement, it's very technical or what or the likes. But when you need coaching, is that in a way they are somehow an expert or have a deep knowledge already and deep understanding of what they have to do. They have vast experiences wherein we have a leader in one of the companies, it's just like, are we training or are we coaching? Why do you have to choose one over the other when you can do both? So definitely it's just like you need training when you're transferring knowledge, but coaching when you wanted to strengthen the ability of the person.
That's super helpful. And AC, I wanted to ask you this question based on your actual experience. Like, why does coaching create a lasting behavioral changes? And we know that the answer is it creates a lasting behavioral changes. But based on your experience, how how can this be achieved?
So as mentioned earlier, it's just that people don't want to be changed. But if the change comes from the within, then they would do everything or anything that what it takes for it to happen. So I think along those lines, that's why maybe the lasting benefits of coaching is because you're answering the question yourself. It's like
Yeah.
no one told me this needs to be done, but rather I said it myself.
Yeah.
The impact is much bigger, and then it's like, oh my god, that actually was my idea. I just like, then I'll do it instead of because somebody told me so.
Yeah. It resonates to me as it starts from the inside out. Like coaching helps uncover limiting beliefs, habits, or mindset blocks that traditional training might overlook. So yeah, that's super helpful. And I think it's driven by personal goals because again, coaching in the beginning of a coaching session, we always clarify with our coachee what is the goal for this session, what do we want to achieve. And so with that driven by personal goals, when people set their own goals in coaching, they're more invested.
Also,
Instead of the leader telling the talent what your goals are. When it comes from you, when the goal comes from you, you own the process, which creates intrinsic motivation, excitement, power that maybe powerful than external pressure when it's coming from you.
Super.
One thing I always experience during coaching, during our time AC, is the question after the coaching: how can I be accountable, or how can I help you to be accountable for this task that we've discussed in coaching? And somehow coaches can ask that so that we can be their partner in accountability. Like if I say that I wanted to focus on learning more on how to grow my company, and because of that, I was able to identify that I need to learn ABC. And and at the end of the coaching session, my coach will then ask me, how can I be held accountable for this next step? When do I want to start? So it's not just thinking about a solution, but actually doing it, because next time that we will meet with a coach, it will be discussed. So it's like a huge accountability.
And sometimes the coach doesn't even wait for the next session. It's just like if you said by Thursday I'm gonna do this. Sometimes the coach will check in. Hey, has this been done? So it's just like it's very interesting.
AC, I know that your team in BTS are being coached as well. And then that's the benefit and support that you wanted to give them. So with BTS, what did you see like has improved, or where did coaching led your teams in terms of better decision making, problem solving, team performance? What did you observe?
You know what I really observe is that they have ownership with what they're doing because they're very empowered. They have initiatives. They anticipate what the leaders need. They manage up, they manage down. Is that their level of confidence really went higher as well because they know that, it's just like they're better understanding about themselves. They have better understanding about themselves because of coaching that really gave them confidence and really making their not just productivity but the level of output skyrocket. How about you?
For our team in Yeah, for our team and more staffing, at least for the internal team, um what they have shared with me that has the most impact of coaching to them is having like someone to process their thoughts. Someone to that they can process their thoughts with. And it's very important for them to do that, because if not, without their coach, they wouldn't they wouldn't know how to process it themselves. So it's more of really not getting answers by the coach, but it's like understanding why they did that, what are the next steps, and just plainly um having the time to process whatever they're thinking, because the clarity was the gain from that coaching session. Like they know they will come before the session without knowing their next steps. They will leave the session knowing exactly their next steps. So that was
Super.
what I have observed.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Let's talk a little bit more about the ROI of coaching in a remote team. So maybe we can give some ideas to our listeners how much coaching really cost. Just to give a range, probably, because there's a huge range, AC, right? We have the low range of $100 per hour, and there's the high range of probably more than 500. Yeah,
$750 to $1,000 per hour. Yes. And I did the high end and I did the low end, but it's just like what's the ROI? I think it's very difficult to place the number for an ROI. At least for me, I'm having difficulty in thinking about that right now and answering that question because it's priceless.
yeah. You know what? For me, AC, I think it's because if even if I wanted to do the coaching myself to the team, I know that it's not the usual scenario wherein we're already working together for that specific role, and then we do the coaching as well. So there could be like a conflict of interest in that area. So for me, even if I can do coaching, I would ask other coaches to do the coaching to my team members so that I can be relieved of that responsibility. And so there and so my team members can process their thoughts freely. Because if you're being coached by your manager or the owner of the company, you might not be able to share or become very transparent on that. Or when they became very transparent, you wearing your coaching hat might have like difficulty maintaining that hat if there are hard to understand type of situations back then. So it's for me, it's there are different kinds of coaches. We've mentioned a huge range from 750 dollars per hour. They have different expertise, right? So they have you can choose, you can understand what is needed by your team members before getting a coach for them, because you can get a coach like probably if it's a specific goal that you wanted this talent to achieve, probably you just needed someone in the low range. But if you require your talent to be having to do more, it's probably the higher range as well.
Yeah. But there's definitely an ROI more than anything. There's definitely an ROI.
With when we interview, because we do check-ins with our clients AC every month, how are the talents. We also do coaching report to them. Of course, there are coaching is confidential, but what we have been sharing are things that we can share to the clients, and things that we observe that our talents, or sorry, rather that our clients noticed, is that the engagement has improved, and the retention, and of course the productivity, especially in the virtual setting. Because again, you're not physically together in an office anymore, just like before. You are in a 13-hour difference time zone. And so being able to build a relationship via online computer is a lot different, and coaching can definitely support that engagement, productivity, and retention.
Definitely.
Um, what I'm still thinking, what other feedbacks we've gotten. Probably a lot of this is also like how they work together as a partner, like not just the employee employer relationship, but how can a client learn from their talent? Like if the talent is becoming better and better through coaching and transparent, better communication, more productive, that gives the owner an advantage and benefit of learning from the talent. It's not always the talent is just doing the work that they were asked to do, but again, a lot of owners share that they're learning a lot from their talents.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, super.
So the next question that probably a lot of our listeners may ask next is, should every manager be trained in coaching? Like, just to probably as an option of instead of hiring a coach, would it be a good idea to have your managers be trained in coaching so that they can coach their team members?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. And I see this with vulnerability. I am not sure because I've always been this person who gets from external. Because from external, there's no biases, there's no conflict of
Agree.
interest, and and sometimes because you have an investment from the outside, it's just like, oh my God, I gotta make this happen. So it's just like, yes, I think it's important for managers to learn how to coach their people because that's part of leadership. It needs to be, they have to teach, and they need to make sure that their subordinates or those reporting to them are taught how to fish instead of giving fish. So in a way, just coaching there. But if the
Yeah.
question is, should it be an internal coach versus an external coach? My own personal preference will be an external coach. But will
Yeah.
they be trained? Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. It's similar to what I've mentioned earlier about the coaching hat and the manager's hat, wherein it's going at some point it can work. At some point it can work, but if you want like a full blown impact, highest impact possible of coaching, there couldn't be any conflict of interest. That's why again, coaching can be you can train your managers to do coaching, but the impact is not as high as having an external one that can really have an unbiased relationship with the coaches. And yeah, I think that also answers whether is there a like a practical ways to bring coaching to the virtual workplace. For us, there are lots of for us AC, there are lots of third party or companies or individual professionals that can help you with this. Definitely choose the coach that is that will fit the requirement of the coachee that you're intending to have to undergo coaching. And definitely it's always finding the balance of coaching and traditional performance management, because again there are instances wherein we need to do training ourselves, mentoring ourselves rather than coaching, and the other way around. It's finding that balance, what our talents need. I think that's a good wrap up topic, wherein we must really, and if we want that big impact to our, not just to our talents but with the whole organization, it's understanding what is required by your talents right now, whether they are coaching, they are training, mentoring. It's basically trying to understand first what can support and what could move the needle, and before doing anything else. Because if you're not prepared or the talent is not ready for coaching, and what he needs or what she needs is a technical training or a mentoring, then you'll be spending on something that might not work anyway. But again, vice versa.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lara. It's like,
Thanks for joining me today, AC. You're my first coach, and thank you for bringing coaching to my life. It has, and again, I still have coach right now, recommended by AC. We have the same coach, Coach Amy. Hi. I think I will share. I think I will share this link to Coach Amy, and she'll be proud. Don't forget to check out morestaffing.co and to learn more about hiring exceptional talent, trusted Filipino virtual talent, and also BTS behind the scenes studio. We will be sharing the links in the show notes. And yes, definitely we will continue to support our clients with their coaching needs. And if you have any questions about coaching, feel free to reach out to us.
see?
Thank you, AC.